Hey everybody, it's the Bald Man once again, and today we're going to be talking about the money market graph. All right, you can see this graph right here. On one side, we are measuring nominal interest rates, and on the other side, this is quantity of money. And the vertical curve is the supply of money, while the diagonal downward sloping curve is the demand for money. Yes, this graph will talk all about the supply of money, how we create more money, how we take money out of the economy, and how do we demand money, the stuff that causes demand to shift. So first things first, right? We're going to talk about the supply of money and the shifters of the supply of money. So I'm going to list the three shifters, but one thing we need to understand is that the shifters also equal monetary policy. In Unit 3, where we talked about the fiscal policy, which is government spending and taxes, this time we're going to be talking about monetary policy, which are the tools that the Fed can use to fix an economy. And the three tools, right, the three shifters of the supply of money, right, the supply of money, we're not talking about demand here, we're talking about the supply. The supply of money, the first one is open market operations. Open market operations. What are open market operations? That is a very good question. Basically, guys, when we're talking about open market operations, we're talking about the buying and selling of U.S. bonds. That's it, right? So if we want to create a bigger money supply, we would buy bonds. Remember, buy bonds equal big bucks. And once we do have more money, once we do buy bonds, we create more money, and the supply of money shifts to the right. And as you can see here, interest rates have now dropped because of that. Now, if we want to decrease the money supply, we would then turn around and we would sell bonds. Sell bonds means small bucks. And we wind up here with higher nominal interest rates. Now what happens when nominal interest rates go up, guys? Real interest rates go up too, and then it becomes harder for small businessmen to borrow money and invest in their business, and that creates a whole slew of problems, right? So that's the first shifter of the supply of money, open market operations. Again, that's just the buying and selling of bonds. The second shifter we're going to talk about is the discount rate. What is the discount rate? The discount rate is the interest rate that the Fed charges banks when they want to borrow money from it. All right, so again, it is just the interest rate that the Fed charges banks when they want to borrow money from it. Obviously, if the Fed wants to discourage economic activity, it would make the discount rate higher to discourage banks from borrowing money from it. And if it wants to encourage loans and increase business activity, then the Fed would lower the discount rate, making it more affordable for business to borrow money. All right? So again, that in a nutshell, the discount rate is the interest rate that the Fed charges banks when they want to borrow money from it. The last shifter we're going to talk about for the supply of money, is the required reserve. Basically, what the required reserve is, it's the percentage of your money that the banks are legally required to hang on to because they're going to loan out the rest, right? Now, the banks are legally required to hang on to a certain percentage of that, and that's the required reserve. Obviously, if the Fed wants to encourage the banks to lend out more money, it would lower the required reserve, and if it wants to discourage banks from making those loans, it would raise the required reserve. All right, what about the demand for money? Really, guys, if the question doesn't ask about buying or selling bonds, open market operations, the discount rate or the required reserves, that's going to be a clear indication that we are going to have to move the demand for money. But let me give you, I know in class I gave you 2 shifters, but I'll give you 3 shifters here that you can use to move the demand for money. We can either increase the demand for money or decrease the demand for money, right? And these shifters are fiscal policy. Obviously, if the government is conducting deficit spending, spending money we do not have, they're going to drive up the demand for money and raise interest rates that way, right? Right, so the first shifter is fiscal policy. The second one we're going to use is our income, right? The income effect. If I start earning $30,000 more a year, I'm going to spend more money than I do right now because I have more money to spend, right? So I'll be demanding more money. Also, if I lose my job and I'm making less money, and I get a new job which I earn less money than I do now, I would be demanding less money in that case, right? So third one is income. Last one is technology to access cash, access your money. All right, and by technology to access your money, we're talking about stuff like Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Zoom, Zelle, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. You can send money through iMessage, right? All of those different ways we have to access money. That also affects the demand for money. All right, guys, if you have any questions about the money market graph, make sure to drop a comment down below or send me a message on Remind. Thank you, everyone.